Welcome to the SAP TechEd live studio from Bangalore. I'm Sundar Madakshira, the head of marketing and communications for SAP Labs India. And we have today VR Ferose, the managing director of SAP Labs India with us. So welcome to the show, Ferose.
Thank you so much, Sundar. Thank you.
Welcome. So how is it, first of all, being in this SAP TechEd this year?
Oh, it's been a dream come true, Sundar, and you are aware of it that we've been planning this event for since the last decade was over, and we wanted to do something which is big and audacious that was never tried before. And I can say today I'm feeling a lot more relieved than I was maybe a few months back, pulling off the largest technology event in India and the largest TechEd ever.
Right. So I think, so first of all, what was the real purpose for which we looked at a number like 10,500? Why should there be 10,500 people here?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the sheer number of people in the SAP ecosystem, just in the city of Bangalore, and let me give you some statistics. We have 450,000 IT professionals in Bangalore itself, which is more than the total number of IT professionals in the entire Silicon Valley, which is around 350,000. Out of this 450,000, there are at least, I mean, the number is around 120,000 plus people who are in the SAP ecosystem, either through our partners, end users, developers, and so on. Now, if you look at that kind of an ecosystem in a city of Bangalore by itself, I think it is only fair to think that at least between 5 to 10% of the people should turn up for a technology event in having been held in Bangalore. And I think there is a huge hunger in the ecosystem to know more about what is happening in SAP. And so it was no surprise that 10,000 people actually registered in one way or the other to attend TechEd. So if you now look, 4,000 is what we did last year and 10,000. So there was already a gap that existed, and we just tried to fill up that gap. And I think that's the reason we gunned for something of that scale. But as I said, the idea is not just about numbers. It is about the quality of the content. It's the value that we can provide to every participant in TechEd. And more importantly, the SAP experience. I think a lot of times we seem to undermine what the brand of SAP. And if you look around the crowd here, if people are staying here for 3 days, then I'm sure they're getting a real good value out of it. So that was the real objective.
Right. So I think the TechEd, being so large, is a part of a larger transformation that SAP Labs India is trying to make under your leadership.
Sure.
So at a very conceptual and a fundamental level, if you were to recount 3 reasons why you believe SAP Labs India is a fundamentally different kind of place to work, what would those 3 things be?
So as you rightly said, we embarked on a very ambitious transformational journey 18 months back. And we had a very simple objective. Number one was we want to be the innovation hub of SAP. It was not about the number of developers that we have, but it was really about the beautiful products that we develop. The second was we wanted to be an employer of choice. We wanted people to aspire and dream about working for SAP. It should become the dream job is to be able to work in SAP. And for this to happen, we fundamentally believed that people has to be at the center of the transformation to happen. And we looked at multiple steps, and as I believe, transformation takes time. But for us, the first large milestone was really 18 months, and I still believe we are maybe 30% in, or 30 to 40% in the transformational journey. We still have a long way to go. But of course, I think there were 2 or 3 big landmarks that happened in the last 18 months. The first was a sense of pride and acceptance from the people inside. And we found that feedback that we received from employees, from all our stakeholders have been very positive. So there is a sense of pride for people to work in SAP. We also wanted to benchmark ourselves with the rest of the IT industry, and that's why we participated in the DataQuest employer survey where we were ranked 4th, which is the best ranking we ever had in our history. And we also said we want to further raise the bar, and we're going to participate in the Great Place to Work. Now, I think once you have an external assessment and an internal proof point, then I think you are on the right path. But the next step is really what I believe is to have end-to-end product developed out of Labs India. And many of them will be products for the market in India. So it could be from India for India. But I also believe there will be many which is from India for the rest of the world. And I think TechEd comes at a very strategic point. In many ways, it was never planned, but it happened at the end of 18 months. And I said, can we look at TechEd as a proof point of what we are doing in labs in India? And I think it's a huge brand building exercise as well, because I think you need to have a very strong band to pull the best people inside the organization. And as I said, we owe it to our ecosystem, who is hungry to really know about the latest and the greatest that is happening in SAP.
Right. So just to, what, so after the, you said you're 30%
Yes.
in that journey.
Yeah.
So what are those three things which you think you will really want to count as something that, everybody would like to work with us
Sure.
and continue working with us?
Sure.
What would those three things
I
be?
think that, the next big thing is to be recognized as a thought leader, right? We need, I think transformation happen when you have a great bench of leadership. And I'm using the word bench because you can't do it with just 2 or 3, but we need to have a lot of thought leaders within Labs India, because they are the ones who are going to move the needle. And building thought leadership, again, as I said, is a time-consuming process. The second is to ensure that we have the best in terms of the nature of the work that we do. I'm not saying that it has to be one way or the other, but really, are you in the forefront of doing things in the best possible way? Are you using design thinking? Are you using usability in the forefront of the way you develop things? So fundamentally, we also see a shift in the way development is happening. And we want to be in the forefront of that change as well. Speed is very critical. Yesterday, for example, Vishal and Gerd were here and they opened the App House, which is a completely new way of working. And that is where we want to be. And interestingly, the first product in the SAP world to be delivered end-to-end in 90 days came out of labs in India. Now, those are great proof points, but I think we need to have more of them across the labs, and I'm very confident that we will do that. So that's really the crux of where I think the next big steps has to be taken.
Right. So you just mentioned about Charitra, right?
Yes.
So apart from this,
Yes.
if there were 3 innovations
Yes.
that you would really count as something which, if, Labs India was responsible for in
Sure.
a significant manner,
Sure.
what would those be?
I think the first proof point was Pragnya, which was developed out of our business objects team here, which won the first prize in the HANA Olympics across more than 620 teams that participated, which is nothing but a Google search which gives you a direct analytics as an end result. It was so impressive that even Hasso said this needs to be productized, and we are already working on releasing the product early next year. And that's again a proof point of complete idea to productization happening out of labs in India with a global market. So this is not about a product which will work in India but across the globe. The second thing, which again I was personally very impressed, was the process to execution done by the globalization team in Labs India. Again, a great idea, and we ourselves believe that we would want to implement this in Labs India. We already have some of the largest customers who want to do this product, and when we actually showcase this product to the customer, they said, when can I get it? So this is, I think, a second great idea. We've been working on multiple things, very, very specific to industries as well. As I said, we have content ownership in the oil and gas industry, in the HCM area. So there are various areas where I believe we, being at the forefront of not just the best practices, but really the next practices, are in a very strategic position to come out with innovations for the rest of the world.
Right. So the other thing, which we are in a unique situation in India,
Yeah.
because you have a labs,
Yes.
you have a GDC, and you have
Yes.
of course, the local field organization.
Yes.
Now, this is a unique combination. It's not often that you find that